So this is remedy meal time. And of course, what's the foundational cornerstone of any remedy type meal? What's it gonna be, Adam?
A green smoothie.
You know it. You know it.
That's right, lovers. Today we're gonna make a green smoothie. There's gonna be some tasty stuff. So what you want is lemon. You want some kale. You want some hemp hearts. This.
Hemp hearts.
Hemp hearts!
Okay. So, what are all these things gonna make?
Here.
No way. What's that?
3 carrots. 3 carrots to my left. Get some of this.
What's that stuff?
Apple cider.
Mmm.
You want to go about this much.
Do it.
Russ.
When do you put the hemp on it? After you blend it a bit?
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, man. Oh, Rob missed out.
Oh, just in time.
There's that's big. Don't need that much. Yummy. Well done.
Good job. High five. Fists.
See you next time, lovers. Folks, coming at you from the sunny foothills of North Vancouver, British Columbia. My name's Adam Dodds, your host for Remedy Radio, communicating solutions with my amazingly talented colleagues, Paul Verge and Robert Christie, joining me today here for Remedy Radio. Say what's up, guys.
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys?
Last episode, we touched on a whole bunch of different health stuff, being a broad subject as it is. There are things that we'd like to touch on and highlight and shed some light, if you want to call that. So yeah,
Same episode.
it is the same episode.
Yeah, it's just a
but
continuation.
It's the continuation of the second episode, folks. Thanks for reminding us, Rob.
I'm confused now.
Okay.
No, yeah, we're still talking about health,
Yeah, still
wellness,
talking about
food,
health.
disease,
And,
prevention.
Right, party on.
What we can
sorts of
do,
stuff.
yeah, to improve
Excellent.
that. So, where we left off last episode, correct me if I'm wrong, was I can't be wrong if I can't be corrected.
Last
so.
episode. We're still in the same episode, aren't
Oh,
we?
right.
So, last segment, I believe we had gotten into raw food and we were talking about enzymes and stuff. So maybe we can switch gears a little bit and discuss the idea of toxins and how toxins affect the body and kind of prevent things from working properly, and why it's important to rid the body of toxins. Because again, we're treating the symptoms and not the root causes. And to me, the toxins building up, shutting down everything, is what would be the root cause.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some of the things you do, Rob, to?
To detoxify myself. Let's see.
How about we talk? What kind of toxins build up in the first place? Like
Well-
I'm not drinking drain cleaner or anything. So what toxins am I even taking in if I'm drinking normal water, or maybe I go and have the occasional KFC super chicken? What toxins am I going to be taking in that I should be even aware of and be worried about?
Well, for water, where we live, the water contains chlorine, and so the biggest problem with that is in the shower. We absorb a lot through our skin. So the chlorine, sort of the best delivery system mechanism for chlorine to get into our body is the shower, but we drink a lot of it. So and then I guess the food that we eat is generally quite toxified with pesticides and the nutrients used, fungicides, all kinds of stuff.
What about high fructose corn syrup? What's wrong with that? Is that a toxin, or is that just it's a corn byproduct, right?
Yeah, well, it's a corn byproduct, but it's like a really simple sugar, so it goes right to our brain and does some funky stuff there. But yeah, corn products are heavily overused, and it's all mostly GMO stuff. So there's like, yeah, it's actually really phenomenal. There's a documentary I think called King Corn,
Hmm.
and it's all about actually, how much stuff corn is used
In.
in. Yeah,
Hmm.
how many products there are out there that are actually corn, and it's
So if
and
I'm, oh sorry,
nope.
I was just gonna say, if I'm taking in all these products, whether it's processed foods, high fructose corn syrup, or corn byproducts that are in a whole bunch of the processed shelf kind of foods, even soft drinks, would those be toxic residuals that would build up in my skin, my organs, my bloodstream even? And if so, how would I go about effectively getting that stuff out? Like, do I go get an enema, or you know what I mean? Like, what do I do? Do I consume a bunch of salt water? Like, is there methodologies that I can use specifically to detoxify myself that you would recommend?
Yeah, well, for sure. There's many different things. The enema is one thing that you mentioned. Some people, there's many schools of thought. There's people that agree with it, people that don't agree with it. So the saltwater flush, which I think is what you might have been referring to, which
Hmm.
is drinking, I think it's a teaspoon of water and a liter of warm, like body temperature water, and then drinking that, and it acts the same salinity as seawater or as your blood, and so your body doesn't. It treats it as a solid,
Hmm.
so it doesn't. So you don't urinate it; it goes right through your system and it flushes out. So yeah, that's a way to do it. Um, Fasting, just fasting is a really good way to just give everything a break, and let your body dump things that it doesn't
So it's
need.
like a cleanse of sorts.
Yeah,
So I've heard about this thing called a master cleanse, and I'd tried it, and it was fasting, but it was also ingesting like water, cayenne pepper mixed with maple syrup and lemon juice,
yeah,
and that was supposed to give you your basic nutrients and sugars that you need for energy. And then the cayenne pepper was like scraping the intestines, and you would, you know, after about 3 days, you kind of get used to it, and then you don't eat any solid foods, and at the end, you supposedly kind of crapped out any solid
yeah,
toxins. And I found that combined with the colonic hydrotherapy, or like some people call it the coffee enema, it would the coffee would like travel up your intestines up to your liver and stimulate it to release bile,
yeah,
which would then process all the toxins in your body, and then you get it all kind of sucked out because it's the colonic. And the way you would feel after that is like lighter than not lighter than air, but if you eat a heavy meal, it's called a heavy meal because you feel weighed down, and that I always interpreted that is the body redistributing energy to deal with this massive foreign invader that you've put into your system, and so it redistributes all the resources to deal with that, right? And so once you get that kind of detoxification process going, you actually feel like maybe it's just more energy, maybe it's that the circuits are flowing better or whatever, but you actually feel like it's easier to go upstairs, it's easier to do higher effort things
yeah.
and still have more energy left over.
Well, I think what you're getting a bit of you back, and a lot of what that's doing, the cayenne will actually kill a lot of parasites. It kills a lot of the bugs, um, because of our lifestyle, because of the chemicals and all the stuff that's in our food and in all the processed food. Um, that's perfect breeding ground for all kinds of nasty parasites and bugs and stuff. That I mean, people talk about bacteria. There's good bacteria, bad bacteria. I
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily see them as good or bad. They're there to well, yeah, they have a function to fulfill. They're there to fulfill a role, and bacteria, whether it's good or bad, um, is doing a job. So the good bacteria is uh, the way I look at it is life. It's like life affirming bacteria. It's the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that's there to support life. The bad stuff is there to support non life. And that's not a bad thing. The only reason it's bad is because it's showing up while we're alive. And that's not what we want. We don't want cancer while we're alive. The idea of cancer, it's the body's, it's like, because there's something dead in you, it's starting to grow a fungus.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fungus is growing and it's helping the decaying process. So it's just doing its job. And we just keep on feeding it all this crap. We get chemotherapy, we get all these things that just feeds it, doesn't take care of the problem. So
Mm-hmm.
So that's all we're doing is we're expounding on a problem by adding chemicals, adding more things to it that don't help the situation. So,
The more we treat the symptoms, the more symptoms show up.
well, the more we treat them with, especially with chemicals, right? I mean, if you treated a symptom like with garlic or something, I mean, the worst that's going to happen is, it'll take care of the symptom. Maybe it might not get rid of the problem, but it's
Mhm.
not going to exacerbate it. Like natural stuff is not going to exacerbate any problem. Chemicals will. That's what
Yeah.
all the
It's
our whole
almost
medical industry is about chemicals and just giving people more chemicals. That's going to exacerbate a problem.
So they're, in a sense, creating the chemical imbalances that they claim to be curing. And because you can't really measure the chemical imbalances per se, it's all theoretical, then you're only ever measuring the symptoms and hoping through, practice, medical practice, that, it's like an auto mechanic trying to, well, hopefully we can get rid of that pinging sound in your engine, but we just don't quite know what it is, so we're trying a whole bunch of different stuff.
Right.
And if you trust in that system, you're just going to be like, yeah, okay, I'll keep paying you,
Yeah.
and
Well,
hopefully you get it right.
right. Well, the idea is because it's a profit model, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thing with the medical industry is that because we have natural remedies, we've had natural stuff for thousands of years. Now, a lot of people, especially in the health food industry, will go to that fallacy of it's been around for 2,000 years, so it must be good,
Appeal to tradition.
right? And we'll continue more.
Yeah, we're just going to take a quick break, so stick around. Remedy Radio, communicating solutions, and we're happy to have you guys here listening to us. All right, folks, thanks for joining us again at Remedy Radio, communicating solutions to folks out there all over. Coming to you with my colleagues Robert Christie and Paul Verge, sharing with us some of their insights and shedding lights on some topics that rarely are looked at, I think, for the general populace, myself being included, and learning every day myself. I see a huge light at the end of the tunnel, if that makes any sense. When all around you seems to sort of become pressuring, understand that there's other people out there that you can reach with to and listen to and seek advice from that share the same experiences. So
There's light at the end of the tunnel vision.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about good and bad bacteria, actually. So maybe you could talk about antibiotics and probiotics, because I've eaten probiotic yogurt, and I've heard that antibiotics can fight off things, but that if you take them too much, that it harms your immune system.
Right.
So what's that deal?
Well, probiotic could be, you could look at that as the good and the bad bacterias. The probiotics are biotic meaning life, so they are pro-life. The antibiotics are anti-life, so an antibiotic's job is to basically kill everything and hopefully the cancer too, and then start fresh if you don't die.
Or the disease.
Yeah, whatever it is, right? So yeah, and yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm kind of interested because I know a lot of people who've suffered from a variety of ailments, and specific ones. People, there's all these foundations that are raising money, like the Cancer Foundation, the AIDS, HIV foundations, and all these groups that looking to kind of profit off of the existence of these diseases. And yet, I don't see a lot of true progress being made in fixing these ailments. And they have lots of great PR, they have lots of great events, lots of money's raised, lots of people walk and do all these things to support killing cancer, when to me it just seems like if you have a strong immune system, you're killing cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think that more money isn't put into the educational aspect for preventative maintenance, and instead of treating cancer with eating healthy, essentially, that they use these drugs, surgery, and radiation?
Because it doesn't fit the profit model.
Yeah. They should start an immune foundation
Mm-hmm.
to support immune systems.
Right. Well, but it doesn't support the profit model and the whole all industry. whether it's medical or legal or anything criminal,
Mhm.
you need, like the cancer industry, it doesn't need a cure for cancer, it needs cancer.
It needs more
Otherwise, it doesn't
causes.
exist,
Yeah.
right? So all industry is built around something that we really don't need and to perpetuate us needing it, at least more than we
Mhm.
really do, right? So, yeah, the criminal industry needs criminals. So, in the United States, where you have private jails, it's in their highest interest to create criminals. So, they have a legal system that makes everything illegal, and therefore you turn everybody into a criminal, and then you throw them in jail.
You fill the jails, and then you can exploit prison labor and all these things.
Well,
So
it's
okay,
staggering how many people are in prison in the United States for marijuana-related crimes.
yeah,
Right?
just
It's
possession of a substance, a flower in this case.
Mhm.
yeah, it's
Which is a good segue
Yeah,
into,
one of the most powerful medicines, and I would, maybe if you guys don't disagree, but I would call it the miracle plant of the planet.
well, absolutely. It's probably the most beneficial plant on the planet for us and for the planet, especially us being on the planet.
yeah.
For us to use. It's like whatever creative force did all this whole thing. Uh, it said, okay, well, they're going to need this hemp plant because this hemp plant will take care of everything, and it literally does. And there's tons of
It
information
has
out there.
forever.
Is there
Yes.
is there a plant that fulfills more needs than hemp?
Not that I know of.
So a friend in need just needs some weed. That's what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Even
So-
the first Bibles were printed on hemp paper. The first American flags were printed on hemp.
Mhm.
Constitution.
Yeah, I mean, it goes on forever. The history that's been wiped out in regards to what hemp has actually provided for individuals,
Huge benefit.
huge. And it's been all been wiped out. You never hear about this stuff, right? You just hear about, oh, the smoking weed guy, and it's always associated with a comical relief kind of situation where, it doesn't
Well,
really.
ineptness.
Yeah,
They treat it like it's anti-medicinal.
right.
Mhm.
And it has way more value than what they've been painted.
Yeah.
Right.
And for those who don't know, like for our international audience, it's cannabis is placed on Schedule 1 drugs in the United States, which means that it has no known medicinal value and that it's only toxic.
So think about that.
Especially when all studies show the absolute contrary, right? The only toxicology studies to show cannabis is harmful involve monkeys who were given 100% cannabis smoke and zero oxygen. So any substance where you get zero oxygen is going to cause brain damage. So those are skewed studies. And in addition to that, you can look into the history of the outlawing of cannabis as a plant, and it's actually tied to all the industries that exploit the needs that we have, whether it's travel or clothing or newspapers or whatever. They were all threatened by the hemp plant because you can take the stalk of the hemp plant, you can take the fiber, and you can process it into fuel. You can process it into textiles, into materials like hemp clothing. You can not only build materials like plastics out of hemp, but you can also create the like biofuel to run these products off of it. So like Henry Ford created a hemp-based car that ran on hemp fuel, hemp oil fuel essentially. Now, the difference between hemp, the non-THC plant, and the female bud, which is the flower that people ingest, is it's a huge difference in terms of the physical effects, right? You couldn't smoke just traditional industrial hemp and you really get any kind of high or anything. So it makes no sense for hemp itself to be illegal, even if they're using the fallacious argument of guilt by association to the traditional cannabinoid bud. However, what we've learned in the past several years is that the active ingredient in that female cannabis bud, tetracannabinoid or tetrahydrocannabinoid, can apparently cure cancers and stimulate your immune system to fight off other diseases. And the way it does this, if you guys don't mind me going off on a tangent, is through what we have in the body is called the endocannabinoid system. And it's essentially a series of locks that are waiting for this key piece, which is the tetrahydrocannabinoid number.
Cannabinol.
There's
Cannabinol.
there's actually, well, Delta 9
Yeah, Delta
is
9.
one of them, but there's actually a number of cannabinoid receptors
Mhm.
within that system,
Mhm.
and most of them are found within the spinal column and in the brain.
Mhm.
So the Delta 9 is one of them, which is one of the more medicinal ones, and then there are others too.
And essentially, what they do is stimulate the immune system so that you're able to fight off a disease, cancer, and this is both ingesting, like, say you took traditionally prepared cannabis oil, which would be 70 to 80% THC potency, and you ingested a small grain of rice sized amount once twice a day. That amount won't it may affect you physically a little bit, but it will actually go into your system and stimulate the endocannabinoid system, thus fighting off the illness. And it can be taken topically, apparently, to fight off skin cancers and other, I've heard of many stories. You can look online, you can look up Rick Simpson, Run from the Cure, and you'll find all sorts of not only information, but testimonials from people who've used the cannabis oil to cure not only their cancer, but other ailments.
Yeah, as far as resources are concerned, there's no shortage of resources out there on the internet. One of the really good resources that we've found is Esoteric Tube. Tons, tons of documentaries on all these related topics that we're discussing, right? And we're just sort of scratching the surface on something that's definitely you could spend a lifetime studying, right? So we're just trying to sort of pique the interest, and hopefully develop a passion whereby you can develop those positive habits and life affirming habits and enrich other people's lives by doing that, right? So monkey see, monkey do. You start eating green smoothies every day. It's not too long after your significant other or your family member starts eating green smoothies as well. If you make them good enough,
Because they're going to see the positive benefit. They're going to
Exactly.
see the way it boosts your energy. It changes your attitude for the better, your outlooks. You don't get weighed down by life as much. Like we encounter our share of human struggle all the time, and you deal with it with a wink and a smile a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
Should we let everybody know what a green smoothie is after this?
Yeah.
When
So
we come
stick
back.
around. We're going to let you know what's in a secret green smoothie. We'll be back after the break. Thanks for sticking around. Remedy Radio coming at you. Communicating solutions. Thanks for coming back with us, folks. Remedy Radio is coming at you. Communicating Solutions here with my friend Paul Verge and Robert Christie, discussing things that affect all of us on planet Earth, and what we can do to improve the quality of life of ourselves and those around us. When we sort of left off the break, we talked about green smoothies and how to
Why
make
you should drink them.
why you should drink them, and most importantly, how you can get other people to drink them, because it really is a magical thing if you can get the recipe right. So we're going to share with you. I don't know if we should share it, but
Of course.
okay, we'll share it. We'll share it, and only because that's
Because we care.
Yeah.
because we care. That's it.
Caring means sharing, and sharing really means caring. So I have drank probably at least 3 dozen green smoothies provided by these gentlemen to my right, and I gotta say, it changed my life.
There you go.
There you go.
Life-changing experience, folks.
Absolutely.
So what is in it that's not only makes it so tasty, but makes it so healthy?
Well, Paul, Adam, everybody, it's got greens. It's got green stuff, which we could really do, with a lot more of. And so,
Get a pen and paper and write this down.
okay, so we make our green smoothies. Adam learned the hard way: do not make a chard only smoothie.
Oh,
Okay, kale,
Cramps for
any
2
of the
days.
kales, yeah, cramps. Any of the kales is we use that as the base. And then,
Why use kale? What's so great about it?
well, kale has lots of antioxidants in it. It's it's one of like the most hardiest plants. So to me it's just it's
Fibrous,
so
high
hardy
very
protein.
fibrous. Yeah.
that I'm like, that's what it does for me. It's got it. It translates. It's all energy, right?
Yeah.
So that sucker can live through almost
It
anything.
endures a
I've
lot
watched,
of stuff.
yeah, the kale in our backyard
Right.
suffered through
Yeah.
multiple snowstorms, and it's still kicking.
Yeah, and it'll be going,
Yeah.
let it seed this year probably, because it'll
Yeah,
be
yeah,
pretty
we'll
tough.
welcome
eating.
So what you're saying is
Yeah.
Seek kale.
Kale is really
Kale's
good
tasty,
stuff.
yeah.
So kale, and then some chard, usually a couple sticks of chard, and some collards.
Collard greens.
Collard greens. Now, yeah, and so you don't want to eat too much of those. They can be quite bitter, especially collards can be
Okay.
really bitter. And chard has it's some sort of an acid. I believe it's an acid that's in it that if you eat too much raw, it can rock your world, as Adam can contest.
Okay. So then, how do you balance out the bitterness?
Well, we usually use apple juice as a base.
Cider and apple cider.
Apple
right?
cider, yeah, get some good apple cider. Um, if you want it to be raw, then you can use some raw apple juice or water. But if you're new to the green smoothie thing, you kind of want to make them as good as possible. So,
The sweet tasting with
well,
going
yeah,
overboard.
You don't want
yeah,
them green, like, because I find a green smoothie, the first instinct, and it's important to differentiate the fact that a green smoothie does not taste green. Okay,
right.
traditionally, maybe if you go to a wheatgrass bar or whatever, and you get, it's green tasting, you can taste it, you're like, but
And green really kind of means earthy, dirty. Like
Yeah.
it tastes like you're drinking a cup of dirt.
Right.
almost, yeah. But the
Right.
green smoothie mixed with with the apple juice
And
really
the carrot.
does
I
blend
think
it.
you guys also
Yeah.
put some
Well,
carrot.
yeah,
in.
sometimes you put carrot.
A carrot or
lemon.
two.
You can put, yeah. So the key is and then you put a lemon, a whole lemon in there, and the lemon cuts all the green.
Slice the ends off. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, slice
wipe
the
it
ends
down.
off. Just get clean. Yeah, clean everything, and yeah, and then I blend mine up. Let's see, that's everything.
Nope,
Hemp-
we forgot some
hemp-
hemp
Well,
hearts.
that's what I was gonna say. I blend it up first,
Yeah.
and then I add hemp parts, however much you want to add to it.
For
Add some hemp to it.
protein.
Yeah, protein and some omega-6 and 3s,
Mhm.
and just the general goodness that it also has with it. So, and it kind of it makes it kind of creamy,
Yeah.
you know.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that's what we put in a smoothie. And the other key ingredient too is a Vitamix, or
to mix it
something high
properly,
speed
yeah.
that really cuts through the greens.
Yeah.
It's the reason cows have 6 stomachs is so that they can get through the greens. You know, they chew and then they swallow it and then they actually spit it back up again and chew it some more. And
Right.
it's a huge process to get through all those greens because that's what they're supposed to be eating is
Mhm.
grass and to get through the 6 stomachs. So in order for us to get our greens, we just have to really chew it, and it would be almost impossible to be able to eat that much kale
Well,
and
it-
actually absorb it,
Mhm.
right?
It breaks it at a cellular level.
Right.
Right. And
It rips the enzymes open in a sense where you can absorb those nutrients into your bloodstream almost
Yeah.
as quickly as you would absorb alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is totally beneficial because I found that a lot of the nutrients we take in traditionally get wasted in the digestion process because they have to power the digestive process.
Yeah.
So it's like spending fuel to make fuel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
You
and I
need
like it
fuel.
because it saves me having to chew. And anybody that knows me knows that chewing just gets in the way of eating. So
Yeah, totally.
Robin hails his food, literally. You have to race to keep up.
Yeah. So it's like it's not quite a liquid diet. It's not quite a solid diet. It's a solid liquid diet in that you're taking all these solids, getting the machine to do all the traditional work, which would be the chewing and the processing, and you're taking it in as the highest enzyme end result, so that you're getting the maximum nutrient absorption.
Right.
And then that, in essence, kind of supercharges your immune system. Because I notice, like if I have a smoothie, I don't need a cup of coffee as much, right? I get that energy boost, and it's natural, and you don't get the jittery feeling. You definitely get like instant clarity. Adam's made me a few smoothies before I've done interviews, and put a little bit of brain on in there, and just like, zing, you're just like instantly rocking and ready to go.
Yeah.
So green smoothie is definitely a huge all around. I think that ties into the whole Gerson therapy. If anyone researches on Google or YouTube, Charlotte Gerson or Dr. Max Gerson and the Gerson therapy, you'll find a lot of corroborating evidence that supports what we're talking about in terms of the positive health benefits of raw fruit juice and high nutrient greens.
Absolutely. Play around with it too.
Yeah, you can mix in whatever you want, but we're just trying to give the basics. Like we experimented, too much chard, okay,
Yeah.
that gives you this effect.
Don't be afraid to try it out.
Yeah. Small modifications here and there, you might create an even better tasting or an even healthier smoothie, right? The point is that the creativity is unlimited because you have such a wide palette of foods to create your art. Your smoothie is your art.
I forgot the pear.
Oh.
Don't forget the pear in your
Pear
green
can help out,
smoothie.
yeah.
The
Tasty.
ripe pear.
Yeah.
It tastes like a lemon meringue pie when you're done.
Mhm.
It's like you're eating this lemon meringue pie and it's green thing, and you're like, wow, this is like one of the best things I could eat. It tastes really good.
Mhm.
So eating healthy doesn't necessarily have to be a chore. It doesn't have to be a pain or if you do it right and have enough passion behind eating healthy, it's a real breeze, and it's
Well, you look forward to it instead of
I
thinking
crave.
it as a drag.
Yeah.
Like it's the thing is like most people, whether they're conscious or unconscious of it, our time is our most valuable currency, and the reason we fall prey to convenience and the whole quick fix, fast food, you know what I mean, is because we're like, oh, we're saving time. We're basically trading off our health for to get a little extra time, not realizing the less healthy we are, the less time we're going to have in this lifetime. You know what I mean? So by putting in that time investment, it may take 20 minutes to prep a smoothie, drink it, clean all the equipment, but you know what?
10, 15.
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes. That's still quicker than hopping in your car, driving
Yeah,
down to Burger King,
totally.
grabbing the fast food and coming back, right? You don't when you eat raw or when you eat, healthy based with a Vitamix, you'll find you actually save time because you don't have to eat as often because you're actually getting the nutrients and you feel full, and you get it into such a routine that it's like shaving.
Mhm.
That it's part of your process. You might make enough smoothie for 2 days, right? Because I think that's about as long as a smoothie will kind of last before going, because it's so fresh. And you find a way, you make it in a batch where 2, 3, 4 people can enjoy it. And that way you can trade off the labor. There's all these ways to fit it into your lifestyle to make it a completely positive habit that ends up saving you time and dollars and giving you back your health.
And a green smoothie will last.
Yeah.
You can have that, the whole bucket full and
Yeah.
it'll last a couple days,
Oh,
right?
a couple days. There you
Yeah,
go.
because it's not juice. Juice extracts just the juice, but when you have the whole thing, it doesn't break down as quickly.
Mhm.
Same with carrots and all that stuff, right? It's got the fiber and everything still in there, so it lasts quite a bit longer.
Nice.
Yeah. So very important to understand that all these tools that we're mentioning today are key to fundamental health.
Yeah.
Understanding that all these things together make up who you are. So what you are, what you eat. If you go by that sort of theory, then it's one of those things that you can't really avoid. So understanding all this stuff is a learning process for all of us, and it's as long as it's done with passion, I think that's what matters at the end of the day.
Passion and critical thinking, because passion without critical thinking can lead to zealousness. But if you've got a balance between your passion's like the driving force between your motivation, and then the critical thinking's like the buyer scanner to make sure your motivation's on target.
Exactly. So we're going to take a quick break, and after the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about health and about some of the secrets that we've learned over the years experimenting on health stuff. Stick with us. Take care, Remedy Radio. Welcome back, folks, to Remedy Radio. I'm your host, Adam Dodds, with my associates Robert Christie and Paul Verge, talking about health topics and why we should be passionate about it, and what we can do to take steps to improve our lifestyle, make lifestyle changes for the family and friends that we have that surround us. And green smoothies is where we left off, I think it was, right?
Yeah. So how do we go about using force, coercion, and aggression to force green smoothies upon our loved ones? We don't. I would imagine that you use the Adam Dodds
You give
method
them a free
of,
taste.
try it, you'll like it. And,
The
and
first
then when
try
they ask
is
what it
free.
is, you insist that they try
And
it.
then the second try, you sort of have to pull your weight. Well, you got to start washing that kale there for a glass of green smoothie.
Yeah. Get a little value on the trade-off
Get a
there.
little- Start washing dishes for your smoothies. Yeah.
Well, and I would say it's safe to experiment with what kind of stuff you put in there. I've made green smoothies where I threw in some spinach,
You can make V8 juices.
Yeah.
Like the V8
Your own
thing,
yeah.
like your own. Yeah, just make a vegetable juice.
Yeah,
Totally.
You can have,
and you can. What substances do you use to kind of alter the bitterness or sweetness to go in either way? Because does that have anything to do with the acidity and alkalineness, or is that a totally separate?
no, there's actual like things called bitters,
Okay.
right? So like sour and bitter are actual taste
Like
buds.
flavors.
They're flavors.
Okay.
So yeah, you'll find like a lime is quite a bit more bitter, especially the skin than a lemon.
Mm-hmm.
So lime makes a bitter green smoothie.
Okay.
I learned that the other day.
Bitter's not better necessarily.
Not better. It's not worse if you like bitter.
Yeah.
Because bitter actually is a really essential nutrient.
Mhm.
It's really good for us because of what it is.
Mhm.
But it's just
I've never really heard of actual bitter. Is it an actual?
So it's a type of flavor as opposed to sour.
Oh, I see. No, okay.
but
So
there
we're not
actually
talking
is
about
something called
a
bitters.
substance
Yeah, there's
called bitters.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a herbal.
Do you
It's
put
an
it
old
in the
folk
smoothie?
remedy.
Yeah.
No, it's an old folk remedy. I
Okay.
think from Europe. Yeah.
It's funny, how those folk remedies actually did make a lot of sense back in the day. Like, what was it? Snake oil actually used to work or something.
Mhm.
And then they've came up with the whole snake oil thing. What are you, some kind of a snake oil salesman? And it's
Well, that was implying that there's people selling fake snake oil.
oh really?
Right? Yeah. So it's
So it wasn't to
well in the end it ends up discrediting the whole thing, but
yeah.
because you can't tell the difference between supposed real snake oil, which would be beneficial, and a bunch of junk, then that became the negative association. Because again, when it gets back to trust, if you don't have the capability to make a substance or medicine yourself, right? You can make a green smoothie from planting the seeds, growing the stuff, pulling it out of the ground, putting in your Vitamix, and process it. You have 100% control over that situation. Whereas if you're buying a tincture or some pharmaceutical thing, you don't really know even what plant that place was made, what actual substances are in that, because it's trade secrets.
Yep.
And you can point to the FDA shutting down Benadryl plants or whatever because of the poor safety conditions, or even worse, having larger doses in smaller marked dose packages, and having all these issues from Paxil to all these other medications. So
Scary stuff.
just because something comes in a nice shiny package does not at all guarantee that it's 100% reliable.
Yeah, just because the marketers are on top of their jobs don't mean that the
Producers.
Well, it's because they started to go down the chemical road, right?
yeah.
Snake oil comes from snakes, and anybody could have snakes. There's no patent on snakes, So basically, what the chemical industry's done is the whole legal game works around patents and contracts. So they make a patent on a chemical. So wheatgrass is really good for you, but they're not going to prescribe. Well, actually, okay, so there's lots of things that are beneficial for us, and so they'll say that they're not beneficial. They'll take the actual beneficial thing out of it. They'll patent it. Yeah, they isolate it, patent it, and then they turn it into a drug, and they say, here, this is what you want to take, instead of taking whatever it was.
And
really
the lack of balancing components in that isolated compound end up giving you the side effects, apparently.
Right.
Because nature would put the balancing components already into it. So you would consume it as a whole substance, or at least a slightly modified substance, as opposed to them isolating the one strong component, the extract, making it super potent, and then issuing it to you without the balancing components, so that you naturally swing one way or the other out of balance, and then they can prescribe you more drugs to balance out those side effects, which of course end up putting you even more out of balance.
And they're all different aspects of that original herb or whatever it was, trying to balance everything out.
Yeah, because even all chemicals, like, this is the thing, like, we're not hypocrites going, even food technically has chemicals and elements and everything in it, but we're talking about synthesized, manufactured chemicals, as opposed to the naturally growing minerals and elements that come from the earth, from the dirt and the water, and that whole cycle that's gone on for thousands and thousands of years. Because only in the last 60 to 100 years have these thousands of substances that never, to our knowledge, existed on Earth, have been created, right? And so we don't...
Well, they've always existed. They just haven't existed in the forms that they've been comprised in, and the potency that they've been refined to,
Well, I read the other day that there's 80,000 different chemicals used in manufacturing in the United States, and there's something like a couple of thousand new ones being made every year.
Mhm.
So there's no way that they have any idea the
Long-term
the long
effects.
term, even the short term. They don't know. I mean, they're just making this and going here. Let's use that, right? So,
So
and
far, so
if
good.
they cared,
Yeah.
Yeah.
um, yeah. So,
Isolates this, mix this with that, find out what works with this.
well, it's like the whole Roundup thing, right? We found out they apparently had Roundup. They had the biodegradable little seal on the
Mhm.
Roundup for 30 or 40 or whatever many years it's been around, and they just took it off a few years ago because it's not, never has been.
Yeah. It's like they externalize the truth because they're like, we've been propagating the lie for long enough. We'll just kind of slide the truth back in there, and most people won't even notice.
Yeah.
And I guess it also, Roundup Ready soybeans. Like, I'd like to talk about the soybean conspiracy because when I first started thinking I was getting healthy, eating less meat, I consumed a lot of soy, and I did not. I expected to feel better, not eating the meat, but drinking and eating so much soy ended up giving me different health issues. So maybe we could talk about what's up with soy. Why is it this both praised and tarnished substance?
Well, soy is it depends on the process. First of all, the most genetically, I believe it's the most genetically engineered crop out there, and that most of the GMOs out there are soy
Mm.
products. So unless it's organic, um, you're getting GMO soy, and then there's probably a pretty good chance that even all the GMO or the organic stuff's been contaminated by GMO.
Hmm. We'll
So
definitely have to talk about that one.
Yeah. So we'll take a quick break, and after the break, we'll talk a little bit more about soy. So stick with us, remedyradio.com. All right, kids, thanks for joining us again here at Remedy Radio. We finished off the last section of talking about soy and how soy is related to people's consumption habits. So, what we can do and some of the things that we can keep an eye out open when it comes to what we're consuming. So, soy being one of them. Paul, I think you'd mentioned a little bit about how you'd had some difficulties with the digestion of soy, not really realizing or understanding the broader spectrum of what it had to offer you.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that most of it was GMO. I thought I was drinking a lot of soy milk, thinking that it was a good alternative to dairy, and yeah, not really. It definitely wreaked some havoc on my body in terms of my energy levels and my moods and stuff. And I just started researching soy and found out that it's used as a filler for a lot of products, right? A lot of even vegetarian products. So I was like kind of confused because I had seen vegetarianism promoted as such a healthy lifestyle alternative, and yet all the evidence I was finding was that most soy is unhealthy, and yet it's such a staple of most vegetarians' diets. So friend Rob here educated me to some stuff. Maybe he'll share with the audience.
yeah, well, um, yeah. So I mean, basically, what it comes down to is the preparation of soy. So what you want is organic, as organic as you're going to be able to get. Um, and then it's what you want is fermented. So tofu is no good. Any product that has soy in it. There's like textured vegetable protein, soy protein, all these things. Um, that's just straight soy. So what you want is anything that's been fermented. So the good soys are soy sauce, um, tempeh, and there's another stuff, but it's really not that tasty.
But the point is,
Fermented
and
soybeans, it's
Yeah.
kind of nasty.
yeah, the point is and going back to the term organic. I mean, and what we mean by organic is grown without pesticides. Grown if you can prove where your food is grown and it's not grown with a lot of what's conventionally used in growing methods these days, then explore that, right? Find out where your food is made. And so this goes back to, where your soy is made. Is it grown in enriched soils? Is it grown mass produced? Is it grown in the country? Is it grown out of the country? These are questions that I would ask, anyways, right? So there's a couple.
Well, I mean, we almost don't eat soy, right? We don't eat soy
I
anymore.
barely eat soy.
We have, we get namashoyu soy sauce, which is a raw soy sauce, which is fantastic soy sauce.
Really tasty stuff.
And then I don't think we really eat soy too much.
So then the lesson might be like for those people who are currently in a quote unquote vegetarian eating lifestyle, that if they are consuming high amounts of soy, then to kind of check yourself before you wreck yourself, because there might be implications that you didn't take into consideration.
Yeah, just because you're vegetarian doesn't mean you're healthy.
No,
Right.
that's what I learned, is just because you don't eat meat, if you're not getting your iron, you can become anemic, or you can, if you're just not eating healthy in addition to eating vegetarian, the two are mutually exclusive, even though they might be related.
Yeah.
So
It's like that. It's like that thing. If you've ever seen that thing where you take corn flakes and you put it into a blender, you blend it up, coffee grinder, whatever, and then you put a magnet in there,
yeah,
and all the iron filings that come out of the corn flakes,
yeah,
right?
like
Because that's
actual
what
iron.
that's what they're giving you, right? That's the supplementing you with iron. It's like your frying pan. They're grinding it up and giving it to you, right? Like that's what your body's
Mental.
going to absorb. That's
Wow.
not what our bodies are wanting to absorb.
Yeah, not that type of
Iron.
we
I mean, we need iron, but it's not like that, right?
Well, yeah, I've always been sort of wary about anything enriched. Right? And I don't know whether that's a key word that's been used.
enriched or
Yeah.
fortified.
Well,
Right.
it's because they take it out. It's okay. Well, on the enriched thing, like one thing to watch out for is the milk substitutes. You want to watch out for carrageenan. That's it's a polymers.
It's in almond breeze, and I drink lots of almond breeze.
Yeah, but for a lot of people who have sensitivity, if you're getting a stomach ache by it when you drink uh, any kind of soys, a lot of them, there's a few that don't have it in there, but that might be causing your issue.
Carrageenan is a thickening agent made from seaweed.
Yeah, they strip it, but it's the harsh chemicals apparently that they use to.
Yeah, well, it's like sugar. White sugar is, they take the sugar cane, they dehydrate the sugar cane, then they extract all the molasses out of it, all the goodness out of it. They get white sugar. And then what they do is they turn around and they make brown sugar. So they take the molasses and all the goodness that they took out of it and they put a little bit back in. So they make different grades of brown sugar, which doesn't make any
All
sense
of them
to
have
me,
been
but-
wrecked, essentially,
Yeah, well,
because they've wrecked it from the first stage of the process, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, it's also because you want to extract certain types of ingredients from certain types of foods, right? So the whole thing is designed to be able to, maximize the certain potential of a certain recipe by adding this really, really concentrated dose of vanilla, for example, right? Where vanilla in nature, is everywhere in certain parts, right?
No.
Well,
actually.
No, it's actually rare. Vanilla is actually quite rare.
Quite rare.
It only grows in
where
certain
I
kind
was
of
going
soil.
with, I don't even know where I was going with
It's
that.
okay.
I'm like, vanilla is really rare. What the hell?
so I guess in the end, when it comes to health, people have a lot of misconceptions because there's kind of a homogenization of terms and the use of confusing nomenclature. I guess people confuse the word disease with virus, or bacteria with syndrome, or all these different words that you hear bandied about and use kind of like they mean the same thing, right? And I guess one point I wanted to bring up when it comes to health is there's this whole fear-based thing where we're supposed to fear our own bodies, right? Fear what our bodies can do. And one of the biggest aspects of the fear-based drive that's profitable, that ties into raising money for diseases, is the whole HIV/AIDS deal. And I had kind of been completely unaware of any alternative viewpoints on that until I saw a film through Jan Irvin, which was called HIV/AIDS Fact or Fraud, which was made by
Pretty interesting stuff.
spearheaded by Dr. Peter Duesberg and filmmaker Steve Allen. And I know we're coming kind of near to the end of the show, but I thought I could reference that for people to check that out. You can watch the whole movie on Google, and it essentially gives across the points that HIV and AIDS aren't really connected, that HIV is a harmless passenger retrovirus that doesn't kill the host T cells, and that's been around for hundreds of years. And AIDS is actually a syndrome, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, which identifies the condition of an unworking immune system. So what the movie does is, instead of showing the viral model, it shows the behavioral lifestyle model. And what we're talking about in terms of food and not getting enough food to keep your immune system going, the condition of AIDS is where you are malnourished or your immune system's been damaged enough that it's not able to fight off any of these diseases.
Yeah, your body is your friend, okay?
Yeah.
It's there to keep you alive.
Yeah. It's its own mechanic in a sense, but you just have to read kind of the instruction manual that we're not given, right? And yeah, it's a little different for everybody, but there are basic fundamentals for every body, which is we all have an immune system. We all need healthy food and water, like clean, healthy, organic food and water to power ourselves. It's just like every car needs some kind of fuel. You can't run it on dreams and wishes.
So let me get this straight, Paul. What you're saying is, if you want to ass fuck into your 80s, stay healthy.
I guess, yeah. If you're really
What?
if you want
That makes
to, Rob
absolutely
Christie,
no
new
sense.
quote of the week. If you want to ass fuck into your 80s, then eat healthy and you'll keep your pooper
Okay,
clean.
snip that one out. But
So yeah, I think it's one of these things where a lot of people have given so much time and effort into AIDS, just like cancer, that they don't want to believe that there has always been a cure since the beginning of the discovery of this malady. And the cure is, don't do hardcore drugs, try not to get blood transfusions that introduce foreign proteins into the body, eat healthy, not malnourished, low quality, low immune system lowering foods, and in the end, just be happy. Keep a positive attitude, because stress, we never got into stress, but stress is one of the hugest factors to creating a destructive environment in your immune system.
and if you're comfortable, it's great, but sometimes it takes for you to recognize that you do have a disease, to see the opportunity there to be able to heal yourself, right? And the internet has a whole bunch of different resources that you can cross-reference and check with people that you really trust and hold in high esteem in regards to their input. And these guys I hold in high esteem, so I've been fortunate enough to be able to have friends that know, that know to a certain extent, that they've done the research, that they
Who are some of these friends?
well, I mean, there's tons of them out there. I mean, you guys.
What websites could we find some of these if you wanted to plug some? Because I know personally for some of the health food stuff that I need to get, I get it from pharmacy.com.
Pharmacy.com is a great place to start. It's got a lot of fundamental.
It feeds us, it'll feed
Yeah,
you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It feeds my family, So if it feeds my family, you're part of my family because you're human. Unless you're not, of course. That's cool too.
Yeah. Tragedyandhope.com,
Very cool
thinkfree.ca.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places for a lot of resources.
Yeah.
Remedyradio.com, which hopefully you're already at right now. And
Yeah.
many more to come, which we'll talk about in future episodes.
Absolutely. So, Rob,
Well, I just want to say thanks. And remember, disease is your friend. It's letting you know that there's an issue that you need to take care of.
opportunity.
Absolutely.
See it as an opportunity for change.
Indeed. Thank you guys for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on remedyradio.com.
Thanks, guys. Have a good evening.